Here we are today. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Attorney General's office at the Grant Sawyer Building. And we are fortunate enough today to have with us the Attorney General of the state of Nevada, Aaron Ford. Mr. General, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you first off for your service to our country.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with someone like you and the way you support vets and everything. And that's a treat for me personally. And I know a lot of vets that'll feel the same way.
Well, we owe you a lot, so thank you.
We're proud to do it. Now, his background, he's got more degrees than a thermometer, if I can talk today, But I'll give you a little background. He's got an undergraduate degree from Texas A&M. He's got a master's degree from George Washington University. Then he went to a great school as well, an area where I was born, Columbus, Ohio State University, a fellow Buckeye, I like that. Mm-hmm. And he's got his master's degree, his law degree, and his doctorate degree in education. So now you see where I'm coming from, more degrees than a thermometer, so we like this. He was a Nevada state senator. He was the Democratic leader in the state Senate for Nevada. Freshman Senator of the Year. They just keep going. And he seems like the Energizer Bunny here. He was a Senator of the Year. He co-sponsored a bill that I think is very important. Nevada Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. I mean, we can't talk about how fair that is. That's an outstanding bill.
Yeah,
so
very important piece of legislation.
Absolutely. You helped pass the nation's strongest pharmaceutical transparency legislation. With what's going on now, and we'll be talking about that.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
Right.
So we owe this gentleman a lot right here. He's a fighter for the people. He's a fighter for the veterans. And you couldn't ask for a better guy on your side. So vets, listen to what we have to say today. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you as well. We'll blow your email up. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right.
Sounds great.
And you were sworn into office January 7th of 2019.
That's right. A little over 7 months ago now, I guess.
Now, I saw the sheet of a lot of the legislation that you backed or proposed or whatever. It's like a page and a half, and you've only been in, 6 months, 7 months?
Yeah, well, I mean, the legislation that we did as Attorney General, we initially sponsored around 17 bills or so. We got 13 or 14 of them passed, and yeah, we're very proud of them. That's a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
I'm going to stay close to you. This is outstanding. Okay, let's start out by talking about your connection with the military. Your brother, TJ,
yeah,
right?
That's right,
okay.
TJ Ford.
And he's in the Army Reserves.
Right.
Is he stationed here in Nevada?
No, he's down in Texas. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I got to Vegas as soon as I can get here.
There you go.
But I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, and
okay.
so all my family is still down there. My brother lives near Dallas, right outside Dallas, and yeah, he's a member of the Army Reserves.
Good. There you go. There's the connection right there.
Yeah.
Now, your strengths in supporting the veterans. Like I said earlier, you were responsible for a lot of the bills, and I know you got a lot up those sleeves ready to go. You're rolling those sleeves up, getting ready to work on them. There's some questions for you. As a state senator, you were responsible for increasing veterans' access to affordable housing, right?
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, I'd love to be able to take the credit for those types of things. The truth of the matter, though, is that I was in a fantastic caucus of fellow Democratic senators, frankly, several of whom were veterans. Senator David Parks, Senator Patricia Spearman, goes by Pat Spearman. I believe she was a lieutenant colonel by the time she retired. And we worked together as a caucus to ensure that we would promulgate and try to pass legislation that help our veterans. And some of that legislation included ensuring that they had opportunities for fair housing, and that they had opportunities for better housing, and that they had opportunities beyond housing to include, for example, daycare and opportunities in education. I mean, we passed legislation through one of my, sponsored by one of my colleagues, former colleagues, Elliot Anderson, to ensure that we had educational opportunities here at the university level for veterans. And so we've done a lot in that area. We think that you've done a lot at the end of the day, and you as veterans, I think, deserve nothing but representatives who are going to do more than pay lip service to help and provide for you once you return, but to ensure that, in fact, you have the opportunities to be successful, to provide for yourself, and to your families.
That couldn't be stronger. That's outstanding because, as you know, I mean, we see it every day, hear it every day. Mm-hmm. The lip service, people in general, especially veterans, we don't like that.
Well, it's interesting because Senator Spearman used to say, and I'll steal her quote. She'll say, "Being pro-vet means more than putting a yellow ribbon on the front of your car."
There you go.
And proof is in the pudding. At the end of the day, you go back and look at the legislation that I just talked about. See who voted no.
Yeah.
And they're the main ones who will sit next to you and wear your jacket.
Yes.
And try to make it as though they are one of you. They're one of your brothers who will salute the flag appropriately, but at the same time vote against those who defended that flag. And so go look at those and figure out who your true friends are when it comes to sponsoring and voting and passing legislation to support you.
Absolutely. Like the old line is, results don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so important. Now, I know you're big in supporting veteran-owned businesses.
Yeah.
There's an organization here in Las Vegas, and I think you might know this gentleman, Andre Haynes,
Yeah, I know him.
from the Armed Forces Chamber of Commerce. He has just taken that. It's the only one I know of, to supporting veteran-owned businesses. And now other businesses want to come in to help those veteran-owned businesses.
Sure.
What a great thing. What's your thoughts on supporting the veteran-owned businesses?
Well, it speaks to the same thing that I just talked about, ensuring that you have the ability to provide for yourself and for your families, and that you are given opportunities, having served our country, to come back to have your country serve you, if you will, as customers or as constituents. And so looking for opportunities through legislation, through partnerships, through cooperation and coordination, I think is an important component, and business is also an important component in doing that as well. So that's the reason why I support veteran-owned businesses and look for opportunities to give them opportunities, if you will.
Excellent. Now you see consistency right here. I love it. That is. I'm not just saying these things. You've proven, like I said, results don't lie, and you've proven your consistency with helping to the vets.
Yeah, and it's. I think that consistency shows through with the fact, for example, when I ran for this office, I was able to get the endorsement of veterans organizations. And truth be told, I ran against a veteran for this office. I say he's a veteran. Right. I think he was an active military in the Air Force, or maybe in the reserves. I don't want to misspeak. Anyway, he was at least in the military, and I received veterans support from the Nevada Veterans Association and whatnot. Again, I think putting your money where your mouth is, the proof is in the pudding, all of those cliches, I think they prove themselves true when you take a look at my record.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I did. Last night, as a matter of fact, preparing for today, there's so much, let me get this out of the way, there's so much that you've done. I'm like, all right, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I got to go to bed. Otherwise it'll be like a zombie on here today. But let's talk about our brand new Las Vegas Raiders football stadium.
Yeah.
I know you were a big part of making that happen, along with our now governor, Steve Sisolak,
right,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
And you guys were adamant about making veterans a big part of that.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, I was the minority leader at the time in the Nevada State Senate, the Democratic leader, but we were in the minority. And Governor Sandoval presented the legislature with an opportunity to pass legislation to help induce, to encourage the Raiders to relocate here. And separate and apart from that inducement, if you will, I spearheaded a conversation about what we called a community benefits plan, a community benefits agreement that would essentially provide benefits to the community.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were going to assist with bonding monies to help build this stadium, I want to ensure that every component of our community was covered, and that everyone who was in our community had an opportunity to, especially those who are, generally speaking, sometimes disadvantaged. And so the community benefits plan ensured that they would have workers from our minority communities, that they would have at every phase, both at the design phase, at the construction phase, and then afterwards in the operations phase. And so that's also what part of the conversation came in about ensuring that veterans were included at each of those phases, and that the businesses were included at each of those phases. And so if the opportunity presented themselves, for example, at the design phase for a veteran-owned architectural firm to apply, then the community benefits plan that I spearheaded and that I got passed, and that I got, I shouldn't say passed because it wasn't legislation, it was a standalone agreement at the end of the day with the Raiders, included provisions to ensure and to require that veterans would get their due piece in every phase of the Raider Stadium.
That's amazing. I know there's a lot of vets out there. I'm not sure what the stats are on how many vets are working out there, how many veteran companies,
right.
But I know it's a lot. And we talked about it earlier, and you agree there's a lot of people out there.
Well, look, I mean, I know that the Raiders, at the end of the day, were very willing and open and committed to ensuring that component of the agreement was going to be taken care of and fulfilled. And so, I'm confident that veterans have received their fair share of opportunities, both each at every stage from design to construction to at the end of the day when it opens up the operations phase.
I made a little trek out there one day, and probably shouldn't have been where I was at, but I didn't go too far, right? No hard hat. And I just asked, "Is anybody here a vet?" And I had my hat on, and I had a crowd around me. Yeah, so that it's obvious you did a fantastic job.
Well, thank you for that, and I'm glad to hear that you were able to have that experience.
Yeah, me too. Until they asked me to leave.
Yeah.
We don't want you to get hurt. Get out of here.
Yeah.
But there's another thing too. Veterans. They're facing so many challenges, especially nowadays. And going back, even there's a few World War II people left, but they're getting their benefits. Some aren't, and I've dealt with some of those people. Talked to a 102-year-old World War II vet who was a prisoner of war for 22 months. And as a matter of fact, General Patton and his tank unit came in and freed him from the camp. And Patton was right there, and he's like looking up at Patton. He said, "I couldn't even talk." But they come in there and they help them. And he still doesn't have some of the things that he's owed.
Wow.
Like the Purple Heart, for one thing. He's due at least 2 of them that we can see.
Wow.
Can't get it. And so they're up against those walls, so to speak. And I'm not going to slam the VA or anything else because, hey, I just got out of the hospital yesterday because I hurt my leg.
Wow.
They treated me great. I go over there for my treatments and everything. Treatments are fantastic. I love the doctors and everybody else. Where I do have a problem is the pension and group people, because so many vets are getting turned down, and they have their paperwork, they have everything they're asked for, and it's sad to see that and hear that because it's affecting their lives and their families' lives. Any thoughts on that? The programs, I think you have a military legal assistance program called At Ease, and it's the at sign, right? And pro bono private attorneys like Mr. Peter Bolivos over here, who is hiding off of camera, but we're going to get him into the shot here pretty soon. But he's fantastic. I mean, he's helped more veterans than I know, and he's helped us as an organization.
Yeah.
Can you expand on how you may propose to help veterans like that?
Absolutely. So I'm going to touch on 2 components here. The first of which is you've touched on, and that is we have an Office of Military Legal Assistance here in this office. And what I said when I ran for this office was that there were some things that I disagreed with the previous administration, the gentleman who held this office, but there are some things that I agreed with. And one of his good ideas was to create the Office of Military Legal Assistance. It's run by, he's currently on active duty, Nick Dana, and it's co-run by Mr. McDonald, who works for us here as well. And so they've done a great job of setting this office up, ensuring they would have pro bono legal opportunities and assistance for people to come out to in fact, today we are having a legal clinic to help veterans through our Office of Military Legal.
Nice.
Yes, exactly. So, we are able to utilize that from a resource perspective to lend a helping hand to veterans. But we also partner and coordinate with our federal delegation. I am consistently and constantly in contact with, for example, Representative Dina Titus, Representative Stephen Horsford, Susie Lee, Senators Cortez Masto and Rosen, to ensure that our communications are back and forth relative to any inquiry I get from a veteran. To the extent, for example, if it's talking about the welfare and the benefits component that the federal government needs to be looking into, then I would be passing that information over to the right representative in Congress at that point. And so those communications and that coordination is very important. I mean, it's important to have a good relationship with elected officials at every level. And so, I'm proud to be able to say that we have that relationship and we can help our veterans at every level.
Outstanding. Now, vets, you've heard me talk before about different situations and the right context. We'll have everything right here on the website below this video. So please utilize them because you've got great members of the state power. The most powerful man in law enforcement in the state of Nevada right here is willing to help. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Really, that's outstanding. We thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ryan McDonald, as I said, over at the Office of Military Legal Assistance, at this very moment, is putting on a clinic, a free pro bono clinic to help folks. It's up in Reno, actually, but
Okay, all right.
We do it all over the state.
Good. Well, eventually, hopefully, we can talk to him too.
Happy to have that happen.
That's a long walk from here to Reno.
Yeah,
so,
it is a little bit. I would jog it, but I hear you.
Not me. But let's talk now about the opioid crisis. And I know this is something that's very near and dear to your heart as far as what you're doing to help people, and especially veterans. Mm-hmm. I mean, they get out of the service now, and look at Afghanistan, for a matter of fact. They get out of there, and they come home, and they're changed. Their whole life has changed. It affects them. It affects their families. It affects their jobs. And a lot of them end up divorced or fired or on the streets. And not because of the opioids. They're using them too much. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, I know you took on Purdue Pharma, right? Or that was one of them that was sued, right? And it looks like they're going out of business. Mm. So that's, the vets aren't going to get any help from them. But what you've stepped it up to, you've added 44 more pharmaceutical companies to the list that are manufacturing.
Well, some are individuals as well, to be clear. But yes, absolutely. 44 defendants in recent litigation that we filed. I would say 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Oh, really?
Maybe a month ago. Very recently.
Okay.
The time kind of runs fast for me around here. But we just recently filed litigation on this issue to try to address some of the opioid crisis. I mean, the truth of the matter is we know that entities like Purdue Pharma knew about the addictive nature of opioids, that they nonetheless marketed it in a way that hid some of the addictive nature, and beyond that, conspired with other entities and individuals to continue to get as much profit as they could, essentially at the expense of individuals who were being harmed by the opioids that they were peddling to our communities. And so, we're proud of that litigation. We anticipate a journey to trial that won't be too long. At the end of the day, our focus is on ensuring that we recover sufficiently to be able to help Nevadans. At the end of the day, how that money is spent, who knows? How much that ultimately is, who knows? But at the end of the day, whatever it is, we want to ensure that it goes to help remediate the problems that have been perpetrated by these particular pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, that's outstanding. And I was thinking about that because we at Voice of the Vet, what we're doing is, my son, being the gamer that he is, and the VR, virtual reality, the little thing you put up.
Right.
He did some research and found out that there are some excellent programs that help people with PTSD. Mm. So we're thinking maybe that, in cooperation with how you're trying to basically stop that spread of the opioids, it might help. So that might be a future conversation that we could have.
Interesting.
So, so thank you for doing that as well. I mean, we got a lot of thank yous today for the Attorney General. See, I can't talk to
that's fine.
the hospital stay was too long one day. That's long enough for me. So you think that it sounds like it's going to be settled versus going to an actual long trial.
Well, who knows?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't care if it settles or if it goes to trial. At the end of the day, the result is what matters to me, and the result we're looking for is an attempt and an actual ability to remediate some of the problems, as I've indicated. And we want to help as many Nevadans as we can in doing that.
Perfect. Now, another thing that I really liked, I found on there about pharmaceutical companies. We know that they're amongst the biggest donors to people's campaigns. You said no.
Yeah.
You said no to them.
It was a tough decision of sorts, right? Because on the one hand, you don't want to set a precedent where anyone with whom you quote unquote disagree, you don't accept, funds from, because you don't want to appear as though you're being influenced by those that you do receive, campaign funds from. But I did think that there was a principled stance to make on this particular issue, the last election cycle, on this issue in particular, again, because of the widespread conspiracy that we knew existed relative to, in this instance, opioids. But generally speaking, there were other issues that we had to address. You touched on one of them early on, where I was a co-sponsor, and all of the credit really goes to my former colleague, Senator Ilana Cancela, who passed a bill dealing with pharmaceutical transparency and insulin pricing. And so that was in the 2017 session, where we were essentially head-to-head battling with the pharmaceutical companies that produced insulin over those types of issues. And so we just thought that it was appropriate at this juncture to relieve ourselves of the ability to or the opportunity to receive donations from them. and I think it was the right choice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now I'm a disabled veteran, and one of the things I have is diabetes. So when I saw that on there about the insulin transparency,
Yeah.
the price of insulin is out of this world.
Yeah.
I know some people are spending $800 a month,
That's ridiculous.
and that's they don't take it. Bye.
Yeah.
It's
No,
game over.
exactly right.
So
Yeah.
Again, thank you. A lot of thank yous today here. Now, is there anything you want to add or talk about that you're doing or want to do, or the floor is yours, sir?
Yeah, well, no, I just appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and thank you for finding us worthwhile to have a conversation with. At the end of the day, it's about helping Nevadans. And when I ran for this office, I said that I will always put Nevada families first. And the lens through which I look at what our approaches would be to issues was, how is this affecting Nevada families? And I define Nevada family as broadly as you can think about. We're talking about the traditional married family of, with 2.5 kids. We're talking about a single parent. We're talking about a single individual. We're talking about veterans. And today's conversation is important because there are thousands and thousands of veterans in our communities throughout this state right here, and we're all a family. And so the opportunity to work with you on a continued basis to get the word out to veterans about what we can do to help and what we can do to get out of the way sometimes is an important one. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Well, Mr. Attorney General, thank you for everything you're doing, have done, and are going to be doing.
Yes, sir.
You're a great guy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
There you go. The Attorney General of the state of Nevada, Aaron Ford, right here. He came down especially for us today. No. But we're here in his second office, or it's your southern headquarters, right? Yeah. So it's again an honor to be here with you, and look forward to talking to you again, and hopefully doing some things with you. So
looking forward to it.
It's a great time.
Thank you.
Okay, well, stay tuned for more. Look at the website, and have a great day. Thank you very much.